Join Douglas Wilson, Dr. Joseph Boot, Brian Sauvé, Eric Kahn, and myself on March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for our 2024 conference. It's called Blueprints for Christendom 2.0. Our early bird pricing ends on Thursday, August 31st. So go and visit rightresponseconference.com to register today. We hope to see you at the conference in March. Today, as we're recording, there's a guy, you know what, and I'm going to say his name because I want to practice what I preach here. But he deserves praise, and I want people to hear his name publicly so that they can go and follow him because he's legit. His name is Jamie Bambrick. It's Jamie Bambrick, Bambrick. He lives in Northern Ireland, and he just posted this little video. I'm sure you probably saw it, you saw it, William, but where he just makes a really strong case for the general positive good, even towards individual salvations and evangelism of Christian culture. That Christian culture is a net positive. Did you watch that little video, William?
I saw some of it. Yeah, I shot him a message right away just to encourage him.
Me too. I immediately sent him a message, said, dude, I want to have you on my show. I retweeted him twice and reworded each time just so that I could do it twice, and said, you got to follow this guy. And now I'm saying it on this podcast with you so that more people will hear him. But he's got a YouTube channel. He's a pastor in Northern Ireland. You can follow him on Twitter. He's got like 200 something followers on Twitter. And on YouTube, I think he's got like 4,000 followers. But his videos, I'll just say it straight up. It's better than mine. He's better. It's not just, it's one more guy doing good work. It's another guy doing better work. It's, and the Lord is using this ministry to do this and do that. But I'm looking at him and I'm like, man, that was, it's highly produced. It's strategic. It's concise. It's clear. I'm not always concise. I'm pretty clear, but not always concise. So anyways, the point is, we should be celebrating though, is my point. There's room. And I think part of it gets into this is theological. Do we believe that the pie can grow, or do we believe it's a zero-sum game, right? Do we believe, and how does it work with glory? Right? Does God share his glory? Do we get to reign with the Son? There's a sense in which God will share his glory with no man. That's true. That is his divine glory that rightly and only belongs to him. But there is a sense in which we get to share also, right? We die with him that we might reign with him. And so there's a sense in which we get to reign and share in the glory of God with him as his sons, as a priest and kings, right? There's your hashtag king thing, but as priest and kings. And we believe that the glory of God is not a fixed pie, that the pie grows. And so when it comes to exalting other ministries and putting eyes on other guys who are doing good work, we believe that we can do this without necessarily losing something ourselves. It's not that I've got to give up this in order for him to have that. No, we believe that the pie can grow. And for me, especially with my eschatology, I believe that we're going to have more and more, progressively, slowly, but more and more Christians over time. And so even with ministry, we're going to need more teachers, and we're going to need more online teachers and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it does get tiresome. The disparagement of, well, I don't know, he's platform building. It's like, but you have a platform. Did it drop out of the sky, or did someone build that platform? Right. So so it's not platform building. It's said as though that's just this inherent evil. Platform building, bad. But that's being said from platforms that were built by others. So really it's no, you can't build a platform. That's what we're pushing back on and saying, well, why?
Yeah. Well, I got a tagline for you, Joel. Post-millennialism. We've got more pie. There we go.
We've got more pie. We've got more pie. Yeah.
I got a Bible verse too, though, that I think is incredibly applicable to this entire conversation. And it's Luke 9, 49 and 50, 51. And let me read it. And then I think it applies directly to what we're talking about. John answered him and said, Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow along with us. Notice he doesn't say follow along with you. He says he does not follow along with us. But Jesus said to him,
Right.
do not hinder him, for he who is not against you is for you. And I just think that that really is a verse that our whole coalition should take to heart. That, whether we see people, approaching things in the name of John MacArthur, or in the name of Josh Buice, or in the name of, James White, or in the name of Doug Wilson, or in the name of Joel Webbin, right? Like, I fundamentally believe all those four names I just said are all with each other. You guys will all stand face to face with Jesus Christ in glory. And that puts us with Jesus. Yep. And because that puts us with Jesus, we are not against each other. And even there, Jesus was instructing his disciples to be more welcome and open to the fact that the ministry of the gospel was going to go forth under other people and through other people that weren't just the 12. I mean, obviously, that's the story of Acts in so many ways. And we see the spread of the gospel and first century, Christianity going forward with new churches and new elders and new names, being commended as servants of the gospel. And so I think that's a good biblical admonition for us to recognize that those who are not against us, and to be there, and to be clear there, those who would be against us would have to fall into the camp of people who we think are denying the truly fundamentals of the faith, that which you will not have a full gospel. Eschatology doesn't fall into that. Right. Christian nationalism doesn't fall into that. That means we're together. And so, right. We should act like it down here.
I agree. And I think that's a good word for all of us, myself included. There, I want to be more careful when providing the critiques of solid brothers that need to be provided. I'm going to be less careful. I'm still going to be careful in terms of accuracy, but I'll be less careful in terms of tone when I am dealing with someone like Russell Moore,
sure.
Who I believe has gone apostate. And that's why. I would use reserve stronger language for David French, for Russell Moore, for those kinds of guys. And then I want to use more careful language when I disagree with someone who is not apostate, but somebody who is faithful and has been tried and true. And you know what? I think that's part of it also. I think part of it is just the testing. I think it's just time. And that's, you know what? That one I think is fair to say, okay, well, but I've listened to this guy's ministry for 50 years, and I've listened to your ministry for 5. And I still want to, I want to give it some more time. I think that's fine, so long as you don't just completely write someone off, or as long as you don't make unfair charges. I think it's fine though to say it's not fine to say you're dangerous if they're not doing something dangerous. It's not fine to publicly attack, but it is fine to say I like your ministry. I'm listening, but I'm listening with a holy suspicion because your ministry is newer, and there's not the decades of tried and true faithfulness behind you. I'm fine with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all need to have a healthy skepticism. Christ commands us to be shrewd, and to test the spirits. And I think that obviously the Bible provides a paradigm, as we see here in Luke 9, of unknown people who are preaching the true gospel but aren't part of the tight-knit immediate community. And then we also get a paradigm of people who claim to be a part of the community, but then use their words and use their influence to undermine key doctrines, right? And that's where the harsher language for false teachers, and that, drawing that line on who's a false teacher when they say that they do adhere to all the tenets of Christianity, and yet they're doing subtle things, doing underhanded things. So that's a paradigm that's important to keep in mind. But something that came to mind when you're talking about people's ministries, and I think this is it's a good warning to me, so I'll preach to myself. It's a good warning to all of us, and that's, we don't fundamentally just want to, in any way, shape, or form, mint or create a new class of celebrity pastors, right? Like the disasters of the YRR of Acts 29, where these ministries were built around celebrity pastors. So we want to be encouraging, men and women to trust their local pastor. And then if for whatever reason, if you can't fully trust your local pastor, then you should strive to find a church under whose pastoral authority you can trust and grow. I do think that maybe some of the controversies that are surrounding you and others are probably due to the fact that some members of flocks are hearing things you're teaching, and then they're maybe going to their pastors with them and there's disagreement. So that's not your fault. I mean, quite
Right.
frankly, that would be, an admonition we should all give to those who hear what we have to say through, media venues that's not coming from the authority of a pulpit. You shouldn't look, if you find a great teacher who you love to listen to alongside your local pastor, it would be unhealthy for you then to try to reshape your pastor into the mold of that teacher. You need to recognize that God has given you
Right.
a certain local pastor that you need to trust to and submit to as far as is possible and expected by Scripture. And, you shouldn't be trying to recast them into the mold of your favorite YouTuber at all. And so that, those out there who are listening to this know that if you can't, then you maybe need to spend some time with the Lord, and then maybe though, if your convictions change, if your theological convictions change, then maybe it would be good for you to find yourself in a different church that adheres more closely to your convictions. And this gets back to everything else we're talking about, Joel, which is in our day and age, so much of the division is going to come down to not so much convictions on paper, but disposition in real life. How are we applying those convictions to the life we find ourselves in today?